In this video, we are going to be looking at the outer garden beds in the backyard. Every month we do these incremental garden tours for the 3 different sections of our whole property, which we're converting into gardens. And this is the second of 3 parts. The first part is the front and side yards. The third part is going to be the raised beds, which are just off frame, but you can see right above my head there is some pomegranates that we're going to be looking at in this video. I'm very excited because we also have a monster in the garden, and you'll just have to watch to see that. Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave.
Monster in the garden?
So welcome to the Bowtie Gardens. This is August 11th of 2024, so it's the second Saturday. Well, it's not Saturday, it's Sunday now, but we are going to be recording the garden tour for these outer beds. I didn't record it yesterday, but some of you might have seen me on Enoch's show over at the Urban Gardener. He does a great show every Saturday and Sunday. I'm wearing my hat to honor him today. I had a blast visiting with him and Greg Peterson on the episode. In fact, I'll put a link to the video in the description here. And whenever I do say I put links to videos or channels in these videos, if I can, I will get them in the upper right hand corner. There will be a little letter I and a circle if you're on a device that gets cards. Some devices don't use cards, like a Roku TV doesn't do cards. Your mobile device or your computer will do cards. So you'll see that little I, you hit that, tap it, click it, and a little panel pops up, and you can see up to 5 links that I'll include in the video. And also, I will put them in the description of every of those videos, or at least I will try to, and try to be pretty obsessive compulsive about getting those in there. And they will be in the index. There is a section down in the description where all the timestamps are indexed, and in each timestamp, if it's pertaining to that particular timestamp, you'll see a link to a channel or a video that relates to whatever I'm talking about. So try to get places where you can see the links that go various places, and so you can look further and get more out of it. So yeah, and you know, when I do put links into the videos like that, especially to other channels, I really like sharing videos in places that have very good content, quality content, accurate content. Sometimes they will create videos that are just designed to get you to click on them and maybe scare you into doing something. We talked about that on Enoch's video yesterday. I ran out and chopped all my tomatoes. I've talked about that before on this channel. But I try to get quality videos and quality channels in here when I do those links. So, and I try to do a bunch of them. Anyway, it's a hot day. We've been having some really hot weather here lately. This last week was our hottest week this year so far. This week doesn't look much better. I'm hoping next week is a little better, because I'm supposed to be working on kind of a flip of a house, and Mrs. Bowtie won't let me go work on the fence out there. I won't either. I'm not the only one. It's too hot to work on a fence. Mrs. Bowtie is sitting off to the side here, doing her Zen thing. Say hello, Mrs. Bowtie.
Hello.
Mrs. Bowtie.
I'm Mrs. Bowtie. What? He turned off my fan. It's too hot.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, I had to turn off her fan. She has a big fan out here. She's sitting out in the sun, enjoying the weather, getting her vitamin D. But it is hot. It's sunny. We've had so much sun here. It's been great for the plants. In fact, this month is we have more green in here. In fact, when you get to the next part, now it comes out after this, probably a few days after this, maybe a week, the raised beds are looking incredible. Mrs. Bowtie was just saying that this one wall out here just makes this little Zen garden out here, and I'm going to see if I can include this area in the raised garden bed tour, because it looks cool right now. There's flowers and there's green everywhere, and there's vines and oh my, and what?
And butterflies.
Oh, butterflies.
It's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
it's beautiful.
It's an amazing area over here. You'll see that in the raised garden bed tour, the next one. That's part 3. Every single month. I've been doing this for 2.5 years. We'll be celebrating 3 years before not too long that we've been doing this. But yeah, so very little rain. So our irrigation has been going like crazy. And everything gets watered every other day, whether I'm seeding or whether I'm growing mature plants. And we're not, well, yeah, we did see something out here in the raised garden beds. We have a failure, and we'll get to that later on. But yeah, weather's been a little crazy, hot, and I just can't get out there. I'm a handyman, so I have a hard time getting out there and working in it and not worry about my health, because there's some bad things that can happen to you when you get overheated. While we're here, I wanted to thank those of you who have subscribed to the channel. You've helped grow Bowtie Life what it is today. We are growing. I'm very excited. We are increasing in subscribers every single week, almost every single day. And in fact, we are averaging more than a subscriber a day right now, which I'm very happy about. But those of you who have subscribed, you really help make Bowtie Life what it is today. Those subscriptions let Bowtie Life know that people are interested in our gardens here and how I share it. And I do share it a little bit differently. We talked about on Enoch's show about my ADHD, and I was diagnosed some 30 years ago now. That is hard to believe, but yeah, it's been a long time ago now, and I spent 26 of those years on maximum adult dosages of Ritalin, and so my garden looks a little bit different, and it kind of matches my personality. It doesn't always match Mrs. Bowtie's personality, because she would like to see straight lines and more organization, because that's her personality. Nothing out of her.
We're not going to go there.
But this is it reflects my personality. I'm the guy that gets out here and does this, though I will admit Mrs. Bowtie gets out and helps in the garden too, which is very wonderful to have her help along with me. Anyway, let's see. We have a monster out here. You just have to wait to see what that is. Oh my goodness, we have a monster. In fact, I recorded a video that I can't find. I'm going to have to re-record it, but it's okay because we'll get there. I don't know if you can see the pomegranates above my head. We'll probably pick a couple pomegranates just for the fun of it. I do need to harvest the pomegranates because they are ready to go. We live on a 100 by 106 foot urban lot in the middle of Old Destin, and we are converting a lot of it to garden beds, mostly food producing, but we have pollinator beds and other things. We are working on developing more beds as we can, and you can see here on this map 100 foot wide, 106 foot deep, and we have houses all around us, but we live right here in Destin. It is a nice size, but you don't have to have acreage to have your own garden. You really don't. And I want to encourage you, I don't think that just because you don't have acreage you can't have a garden. Don't think if you don't have a yard you can't garden. And I showed this picture on Enoch's show yesterday, is our garden that we had at our apartment. Actually, this picture I didn't show. It was it wasn't this one. But this is one of the pictures I was going to show on Enoch's show, and you can see we didn't have anything but this 14-foot patio, and we still had a garden. And much to the property manager's chagrin, but it made food for us. It made tomatoes. We love those tomatoes, and okra. In fact, in this picture you can see over on the right those purple stems that you see on the right on this picture. Those are our first year of okra that we grew, and you'll see in the raised garden bed tour what we're growing now. It's the same okra, it's just a lot taller now. But you don't have to have acreage, you don't have to have a yard. Start where you are. I know Kelly Kim over at Kelly Kim Garden and Home, she talks about the Tiny Tim tomatoes all the time, and you can grow those indoors under a grow light or next to a very sunny window. It's a little tiny tomato plant. You can grow little cherry tomatoes. That's just wonderful fresh eating. So I encourage you to get started, learn, and try to figure out how things work, and that's what we were doing with that apartment. Okay, so for this outer garden bed tour, now this is the outer garden bed tour, we're going to avoid the middle. We have this map here of the property, and of actually the back of the property, and we are going to be starting around this outer edge, and we're going to put this in the corner of the video. And this symbol right here, this represents, the circle here represents the camera, the arrow represents the direction the camera is pointing. So we're going to put this on the map right where the camera is right now, and as we go through here, you'll be able to see where in our property we are, and you can get a kind of a better, I think, a better perspective of where we are in the garden tour, where we are on the property, and so forth. I do this for every garden tour now. I will mention something that just escaped me, so I'm not going to mention it. How about we just get started? So there's the tripod you were just sitting on, and this is looking into the beginning of the blackberry arbor, and you can see these blackberry vines. Now this is the one we hung up last garden tour a month ago, and I will continue to weave this thing into the branches just to continue training it. And there's a loose one here I'll continue training. There's a few loose ones up over there. Now blackberries can be very invasive. They've invaded a lot of our property, and oh, I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say it is hot out here, and you can see here the camera is will try to overheat. This little sunshade that is over the camera right now is keeping it from overheating, and I'm going to have to try to keep in the shade as we're going along here as much as I can. But these blackberries are invasive, and they've invaded the whole property, and so I allow that to happen. We do still have some of the old dead ones in here that I haven't quite got. Occasionally I come in here and I'll see, oh, there's another dead one I got to pull out. I thought I did a better job of that. I can see there's a big dead one right here. However, this one here is growing. No, it's not. That needs to be just get cut out and started again. It's probably that little stem right there. Something down there is already growing new stems. Blackberries are biennial plants. They are considered perennial, but they're biennial because they live 2 years. The first year that they live, they make this really green cane. And this will produce blackberries in the spring for us. Here in Destin, Florida, it will produce a lot of blackberries, and I want to try to train this side of the arbor up so that we can have a collection of blackberries next year. And there's actually a tomato. I wanted to point this out. I don't know what kind of tomato. I'm going to presume it's an Everglade, but you'll notice it's actually going up into the pomegranate tree above. It's some kind of indeterminate, obviously, but we'll have to see what kind of tomatoes it makes. If it is a Super Sweet 100, that is a hybrid, and it may not come out to be the same kind of tomato that we get. If it's an Everglades, Everglades is an heirloom, and that will come out exactly the same. And I'm hoping that it's an Everglades. The leaves sort of look the same as the Everglades, I believe. I'm looking over there to see. Yeah, they all look the same as the Everglades tomatoes, I believe. So we'll have to see what that vine produces before too long here. Pomegranates here are looking amazing. We have a lot of pomegranates to harvest, and I've been holding out harvesting them because I wanted to put them in this video tour. We showed this view last month right here. They were looking interesting then. Now they're looking amazing. They're huge. We need to harvest these and see if we can do a video on processing and collecting the juice out of these with our food processor, our tomato processor, I should say. And I've been having fun with that thing. But you can see here that these are growing strong. They're red. They're getting a little bit of exhaustion on them from being out here in the sun, and they need to be harvested pretty soon. The pomegranate trees, these are the ones that I have been keeping the suckers off, but you can see here I haven't done it recently. And that is the same for all 4 of these pomegranate trees up in here. That's the second one. The third one is back behind there, and the fourth one is on the other side of the blackberry arbor over here. So rather than walking through our little supply collection over here, I'm going to come around this way and walk through the blackberry arbor. And you can see this pomegranate. Now, interestingly enough, you saw those first pomegranates. This pomegranate tree is underneath that magnolia tree. Let me just go up and you can see that it is truly underneath the magnolia tree. So it's not developing quite as fast. It's making smaller pomegranates. There it is. That's a quarter the size maybe. It's a lot smaller, but they are developing later. So we'll have to see what we get out of this and watch it. We do get pomegranates off this tree underneath the magnolia. In fact, that's the outline of the magnolia tree right there. So it completely covers it. Our sun shines almost completely straight down. There's one of our banner planes flying along up there that we get for the beach all the time. That didn't focus, but you can see it was there. We get a lot of air traffic here. We are between a few air bases, a couple of airports, and a heliport. So we have a lot of air traffic. Anyway, back to the pomegranates. This tree is under more shade. It develops slower. You can see over here, in fact, I see one low enough I can reach right now. You can see it's a lot smaller. Those other ones were bigger than baseballs. But as soon as you go over here, 6 feet, a little bit more in the sun, look, this one is developing even bigger. The more sun they get, the bigger the fruit gets. So they do need their sun. I will be cleaning these suckers off these trees eventually, hopefully sooner than later, definitely. By the time we're harvesting these, I will be cleaning up these pomegranate trees. So, that's the teaser for the raised garden bed. Coming along behind the blueberries, we talked about these a little bit in the front and side garden tour, the first part of the 3-part garden tour. These things are looking great now. I've pulled out a lot of those trees that were growing up into it. I see we have some more vines growing in there. I don't have gloves right now, or I'd do it right here with you. Some of those vines have prickers and they're a little bit aggressive. So yeah, these blueberries are great when it comes springtime and they're ready to harvest. We had 14 people here harvesting, neighbors and people from church harvesting blueberries, fresh blueberries this past year. I will mention, okay, so here we go. And I mentioned this last year about this time. I go back and I research what was going on in the garden, and these vines, you need to keep these in. Now let's talk about vines, what they do. And God created these vines for a purpose. We have a huge tree right here. Now, this tree is being taken care of. In the forest, this tree might be getting abused and dinged up and bark peeled off and the squirrels chewing off branches, and there might be other problems. This thing is actually in pretty good health. And so, in nature, when the forests grow up and get too big, they need to be pruned to make room for new growth, because new growth is the stronger growth. And so God created these vines to climb up big trees and pull them down and make room for new growth. Well, if you let these vines grow up your house, particularly wood siding or brick veneer siding on your house, these things can actually pull your house apart. They are created for that, and they get these little grabby things in here, and they will grab on and they will work their little tiny roots inside and create cracks and do bad things. So be careful about those vines growing up your house. I am careful because I take care of our trees here. The previous owner did a great job, and I'm trying to follow in his footsteps as best I can. So I'm seeing some more stuff growing up in this, because I'm just noticed there is a tree right here. One of these things is not like the others. One of these things does not belong. This is a pest tree that I need to cut out or pull out of there if I can. So yeah. That's not a good thing to have in the blueberries. We'll get those cleaned up. This here is my beloved Biden's alba. This thing will be growing up and making its little white and yellow flowers that the bees and monarchs love. The butterflies love those things. They'll be all over this when it starts blooming. This is almost as tall as I am. This is within 6 inches of the top of my head, and so 5.5 feet tall. That's how tall. I've never seen them grow that big. I have been pulling out a lot of, in fact, I'll show you here in just a little bit. the mess I pulled out. But Biden's alba in our meadow area, and I've been maintaining this meadow area. We have a lot of stuff in here, a lot of plants, a few critters. We have turtles in here. You can see here is a bee bath, and the bees will sit in the side of this and get their supply of water. We have comfrey down here. I planted that. A lot of Biden's alba. In fact, you can see there's another little tree growing up over there that I need to take care of. But a lot of Biden's alba down here, and they will be making those little red flowers. And of course, we have our bee box. And you can see, let me just zoom in. I'm going to show you. Wow, I have not seen them that thick. That is amazing. Lots of bees. This has been a very strong bee box for me. I've enjoyed it. I have been stung once, but I'm not mad. Just cried a little. But anyway, the bee box is going strong. We have our elephant ears. There's another comfrey growing crazy over here. One cool morning I'll come in and I'm going to dig out some of this comfrey to give to a friend. But our meadow area is looking beautiful. I want to see if I can come over here without stepping on anything. And we have an amaranth right there. You can see from the top it is getting ready to bloom out. It gets a little bit of sun. I'm glad to see that because I didn't know how much sun it got. The bees are getting a little nervous with me out here, so I'm going to be moving on. And this is the exact position I got stung the other day, so I'm going to come back over here into the Cathedraloupe. And the Cathedraloupe, I'm trying to grow canteloupe in here. I know it is a problem because we have the Magnolia tree still covering this end of it. And it's a little bit more sunny down the other end. And in fact, the one canteloupe I had growing decent was over at that far end. Everything growing here is a canteloupe. I think it's Hale's Best canteloupe. Oh, and I see we had another one down here. Oh, I missed it. Completely missed it. So we'll take that off so that it doesn't steal any more energy. It's been eaten into. I don't want to even open it up to find out what's in there. But these canteloupe will grow. I do see. Here's our air potato. Gotta track that down to its source. Watch the video on air potato. I have a whole bunch of videos on aggressive plants, invasive plants that are annoying. But anyway, so this Cathedraloupe is dedicated to canteloupe. This year, I'm not doing too well yet. We'll have to see. I know in the past, I've had canteloupe growing on this area without the Cathedraloupe, and they developed a bit late. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't even see flowers on this thing right now. Oh, there's one flower. There's a male flower right there. I don't see any female flowers. That's the only flower I see, in fact, on any of these. That's a little discouraging. These trees back here behind the Cathedraloupe, these two are our two fig trees. And these were the fig trees that are from the 30-year-old tree I trimmed up for a friend. And they are getting tall, to say the least. This one here is probably, that may be 12 feet tall right there. This will get trimmed back to about 10 feet tall. This one in the corner, I want this one to kind of grow up just a little bit over the Cathedraloupe right here. So I won't let it get too much taller before we're going to be topping that off. And making it, hopefully getting it to grow a little more outward. We do have over here, in fact, let me change sides. So on the back side of this fig tree, that's about 12 feet up there. I do have one branch that comes up this way to help fill in this side of the tree a little bit. I am standing right behind the bee box. Hopefully I'm far enough back here that they don't notice me for just the few moments I'm talking here. But this tree I have not seen any figs on yet this month. Over here on the other fig tree, which does have a nice goblet shape to it and a central leader, this one did, oh yeah, it still has figs. You can see right up in there. There's a fig, but these things, we're in August, folks. These things aren't going to last. They're just for looks right now. I see two more up there. I do not expect this to produce any figs at this point. for this year. It did not produce anything yet. This is its 3rd year in place here. So it has leaped. That's what they say. The first year they sleep, second year they creep, 3rd year they leap. And these things have leaped quite a bit. And it's amazing how rich they look. We'll be doing some trimming on these, not a lot. Doing some trimming on these to try to get them to grow better and produce fruit next year for the first time. That's going to be exciting. The Loquat hedge over here. Now the Loquats, I'm not sure what this is right here. Okay, we're gonna that's the neighbor's tree. The Loquat hedge, folks. The Loquat hedge is, it's getting thick up in here. The Loquat hedge is getting tall. That top right there is over 6 feet high. It's a little more, it's probably right at 2 meters high, in fact. And this tree has just really branched out. It is looking beautiful. This one here is going to be beautiful. We'll trim it and get it more branching. There are 5 trees in a row, which is why I call it my Loquat hedge. And the other 2 trees are not doing quite as much, but they are there and they are branching. So when I planted them, the last tree down there was the one that wasn't doing as great. And it's still not doing great, but it's just been planted last fall. So they haven't even been in here a year. And this thing here, wow, I just can't get over this. This is Loquat. Loquat is a peach-like fruit. Mrs. Bowtie says that she reminds her more of a nectarine than a peach, or a plum. I'm sorry, a plum. So anyway, just a quick little interjection from editing Dave here. I did clean up this area over here. You can see from this video, it was quite a mess. I got a lot of Biden's alba out of here. This was just totally covered. Hopefully we can get our onions growing again, which are down in this area right here. But looks a lot better. I still need to move the cement bench right here on the right into this area as well. These trees are looking good. I'm very happy about how they're going. That is a backup Loquat over there. This is a lemon tree over here. It's going to take a few years for this thing to start showing any fruit. It died in the Christmas of 2022 freeze, which is not unusual. I did not know how to protect them at the time. If we have another freeze predicted, we will do better. So this little area you're looking at right now is part of my watermelon patch. And you can see there's a watermelon there. There's actually another watermelon over here. And I went back and I looked at last year. And last year we were getting watermelon well into September. So we could still be getting, oh, there's a little one there and a bigger one there. I thought I saw another one back in here. I do not see it. Okay. So we should get some more production out of this, I'm hoping. I have been enjoying the watermelon. Mrs. Bowtie takes some to lunch with her when we have them. But we put in 11 plants here. They went crazy. It's been a little hot right now, but hopefully they'll come back as we cool off in a week or two. It won't be but about a week or two till we're cooling off. But the watermelon. Now I do want to point out there is one watermelon. Well, yeah, let's look at the one watermelon. There is a volunteer up under here. Now this corner right here was all Biden's alba. I ripped all of them out just to keep them under control. You have to keep the Biden's alba under control. And yes, that's the monster I was talking about. Underneath here, we have a watermelon vine. And it's growing out of there. It's going into the neighbor's yard. And I want to show you what it's doing. So this is a watermelon growing in the neighbor's yard. And we're about 15 feet from the fence. That thing is growing just the other side of the fence right there. And so we get watermelon all over the place. You can see my neighbor is a bit of a gardener as well. This is a birdhouse gourd that he's growing, and he actually has some incredible gourds growing this year. They are everywhere. Look at this right here. Oh my goodness. Can you believe that? They are looking amazing. There are dozens in here. But birdhouse gourds aside, this is the monster I was talking about. this, and if you've been watching the channel much, you'll know that we've been talking about our Luffa monster. And yes, this is what turns into the shower sponges. And you can see here we have massive Luffa growing out everywhere. Oh my goodness. Can't wait till these grow to full size, mature, and become shower sponges. Now, the way I've had it explained to me is Luffa, L-U-F-F-A, is the plant and the young fruit. You know, little fruits like that right there, you cut those off, you fry them up, they're great, they make a good substitute for zucchini. We have eaten a lot of them already. Mrs. Bowtie gave me the official word, she's tired of zucchini for the year. So we're not harvesting anymore, but this thing is coming down this rope. It's also coming down the fence right here, all the way past the tree, which look at the tree now. It's actually killing off all the branches on the tree. Growing over the 17-foot tall stump up here. It's growing all over its arbor, and it's growing down the fence that way too. It's about 60 feet long. This is the Luffa monster. Now, that green up on top right there, that's the beans. That's in the raised garden bed. We won't talk about that in this video. That's in the raised garden bed tour. But look at this thing already growing up the stump. Now, the only salvation here is this is a perennial, which means it will all die in the winter. So we'll pull all of this out, compost it maybe, mow it over, do something with it. But this thing is massive, just shockingly massive. In fact, you can see the ladder that's getting engulfed. I just climbed over. There's a little red ladder on the backside, and then the ladder on the front here is how I climbed down. But this is just, and with the birdhouse gourd thing over here, which I see there's a birdhouse gourd growing right next to a Luffa right here within the ladder. Isn't that hilarious? Let me go back over the other side and show you the inside of this arch trellis, which actually, just watch the bees for just a second. There are bees all over this. These flowers are just amazing, just absolutely amazing. In fact, let me see if I can zoom in on this bumblebee right here. Look at that thing. Oh my goodness. Huge bumblebee. So the whole plant looks like that. Flowers everywhere, they're beautiful. This thing is making fruit. We will harvest those fruit because we're waiting for Luffa sponges now. We will harvest them well after they've dried up and turned brown. All right, let's go in the inside of that thing just to show you what it looks like. So this is the inside of the Luffa trellis. We do have a lot of brown leaves in here because the canopy is just so thick in here. So these inner leaves that aren't getting sun are just not surviving. But you can see here, look at this. This is one of the small ones. This is actually probably about the right size to eat. If you didn't eat it, you could certainly grate it up and make Luffa bread. But this thing is making a room in here. And let me just spin around. I've got you on kind of a wide view. But let me spin you around and you can see. You can probably move a couch in here, a small couch and a TV. This is just amazing. I actually grew 5 vines in here. There's one in each corner. And then over here in this corner, there's 2. And I really just wanted to see what it would do. Now I see. We probably won't be growing Luffa next. We may not. Well, we probably won't be growing 5 vines. We might grow 1 next year, but we won't be growing 5 vines next year. We do want to have some zucchini lake gourds that we can eat. But this thing is just amazing. You can see here under the shade cloth, they're just, these Luffa are just literally growing out everywhere. It's growing across the top of the shade cloth here. It's coming out the side. I'll actually continue training this one to go down to that rope right there, and it'll go down there. That's Luffa growing. No, that is actually not Luffa. That looks like birdhouse gourd coming back that way. The Luffa doesn't look like it's gotten much farther than right about there. But yeah, it's growing like crazy. I love this. This is just amazing. Blows me away. So back to our stump that was a tree when we first moved here. After we'd been here a little over a year, we had it removed because it had problems. We cut it up to a 17-foot trunk so we could continue to grow things on it. It sprouted out a bunch of branches here, and these branches have been killed by the loofah, I think. The loofah is just really aggressively growing all over it, but I'm happy about that. But the Jasmin, which is the other thing growing up in here, has some nice protection. So hopefully, and I see a lot of great growth on the Jasmin here, so hopefully the little bit of protection from the loofah will give the Jasmin a little bit of a leg up to grow. And the Jasmin actually has been, this is actually Jasmin right here. It's growing up in long tendrils all the way up. In fact, let me see if I can zoom in right here. This is at about, I don't know, maybe 10 feet. So yeah, the Jasmin's growing really good, looking beautiful. It's gonna grow, put out a lot more leaves once the loofah is dead and gone. But yeah, this loofah, you can see I'm training it down the ropes and everything. It's crazy. I'm just playing with it at this point. Woodpile, yeah, okay. Moving on. Past the woodpile, we have, yes, Mrs. Bowtie?
Nothing.
Did you laugh?
Yeah.
Woodpile is going to have to be dealt with. We have our corn patch in the corner, and we planted some corn that I saved some of the corn's kernels from a bag of corn that a friend of Mrs. Bowtie gave to her at work, and I've had those seeds since 2021, I think, so they're old seed. Not sure how well I stored them either, so might have been poorly stored, but we're having real poor germination in here. I'm seeing one there. Now that row right there actually looks pretty good, but there's real spotty germination. I do need to come in here and pull out some of this grass to see if I can get a little bit more out of it, but I'm not feeling very hopeful. We come around to our last 4 pomegranates. We got one survivor here that's not going to survive much longer. We have one right here, which is probably a survivor as well. You can see we actually have a lot of pomegranates. I think this tree is probably just giving its last and trying to make what it can before it dies. I do believe it's going to die. I can grow pomegranates like crazy around here, so it doesn't matter. I can replace them if I want to. This puts us down to 9 pomegranate trees. These 4 here, the 4 over by the Blackberry arbor, and there are 4 at, there's 1 in the strawberry patch, which was going to be renamed. But the different thing I did here is I never did trim the suckers off of here. I wanted to see how they would do. The ones over on the Blackberry trellis that I did trim the suckers off, that's these little tiny things all around the bottom. They grew really, really well this year. These, not so much. In fact, I'm afraid I might have lost this one over here. There's more trunks to this. I could probably pull out one trunk. We may lose it anyway. It's got a lot of comfrey growing around the base of it. I don't know if that's bad for it or good for it. But the pomegranate trees, they are producing some fruit. Not like we're going to get a big harvest off of them though. So, coming down to, oh, let me show you of course we got the rosemary over here buried under ivies. And I do come in here and I'll, every once in a while, about once or twice a month, I'll think about it and I'll come over here and I'll pull this ivy off just to get it a little more room to breathe. This is the rosemary plant that came with the house, and I've actually already propagated this thing out into a couple of other places. So we have, oh, that smell is so wonderful. We have rosemary in various places. This is the pomegranate tree down in the base here. Oh, interesting. So this is comfrey. I didn't know it grew up like this. This is comfrey right here. It's growing out of the base. I am still studying the life cycle of this. And I'm just learning that it grows leaves up top too. I've not seen that. Not sure why it did that. Maybe it's because it's in the tree. I don't know. But it's looking good. We have some elephant ears over here that I'm letting go just to have fun. A lemon tree back behind here that is letting go just to have fun. And of course our pot update. We have one full of aloe. We have a lemon tree growing out here, another lemon tree growing over here somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is, right down there. Can you see that? That's also a lemon tree growing out. These are original lemon trees that made it through. Well, they didn't make it through. They almost died. This is the Dietes bicolor grass that we still need to break up. Spearmint over here. Whole bunch of loquat trees. Anybody want a loquat tree, just holler. Luffa, not Luffa. Aloe. There's a mint plant underneath this pile right here. This is my original chocolate mint plant under here somewhere that I need to rescue now. Wow, it got very buried. Very buried. But mint is very tough. So, that brings us around to, of course, the compost bin. So the compost bin, I've been adding grass to it. Pretty much only grass and kitchen scraps. I will pull back a little bit. That's why the fork stays here. Pull back a little bit and I will put in kitchen scraps in various places. Then I'll put more grass on top. And of course, you can see this video, I've actually cut the grass. We actually had company last night, and so I was a little motivated to get it a little bit cleaned up. You might be able to see a lot of gnats flying around up here. You can control the gnats a little bit better. Yeah, I recently heard someone talking about controlling rats and mice. I put in here all kinds of kitchen scraps, and I have not had any trouble with rats in this. The reason why I know that is because I've caught a couple dozen rats in my garden, and I've put traps on this compost bin. I've never caught a rat on this bin. Never. So I don't know. Not sure why, but I don't have any trouble even though I'm putting food scraps in here from the kitchen. No proteins, just veggies. No, okay, I take that back. Eggshells. I do put eggshells in here. That's the only thing related to proteins. But anyway, so that over there was the old cucumber vines from the raised garden bed. Where the cucumbers were, I cleaned them out. Yes, I actually did something, folks. And new cucumbers are now growing. And of course, down here on the bottom of this compost bin, we still have the seaweed, leftover seaweed. It is fine. It is decomposing. It's got some sand in it. It will be worked in when I get to it. And that's okay, because that's where I'm at. The magnolia tree here, this one's looking beautiful. It does not, it's funny because this one gets the suckers. The other magnolia tree does not. Never. It never gets a sucker. I don't know what the difference is. Maybe they're different cultivars. But both of them are located right above the skylight in our bathroom, so you can almost always during the summer look up and see a magnolia flower while you're standing there brushing your teeth. Anyway, the palm tree back there I haven't touched in quite a while. We did trim that thing for the second time, I don't know, a few months ago. So I'm not really too worried about that palm tree. I could cut it out at any time. Not really sweating it at all. Anyway, yeah, that monster, how about that monster loofah? That is mind-blowing. I am just thoroughly enjoying watching this thing grow. It's not something I would do every year. We're doing it this year just to see what happens. And if I grow it next year, it'll be a single plant and it won't be nearly as big. We'll keep it cut back onto the arch trellis somewhere. But yeah, it's taken over that side. I was hoping it would climb up to the top of that stump. I was hoping, and it did. So anyway, please, if you thought this was informational, educational, inspirational, or just entertaining, please click the thumbs up on this video and share it with your friends on Facebook. That's something free you can do to help support the channel. It helps grow the channel, and I appreciate it. I appreciate what all y'all do. If you have any questions, or you want to share your experiences on anything that you saw in this garden tour, please comment down below in the comments. And I'd love to hear. I love hearing from y'all, and I love getting to take part in your experience as well. So if you have any thoughts on these, now if you have a thought and I don't take it, don't be offended. It's okay. Some of these things I've already gone down a path, and I'm so far down the path I just want to see it out. It's my little obsessive compulsive brain that I have to live with. So don't get offended if I don't follow it. I am listening, I'm watching, I'm reading. I will probably even comment. I try to comment on everything. But anyway, with that, we're going to end the outer garden bed tour for 2024. Thank you for following along. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Have a blessed day.